Hi, this is Maverick Truck Mods, and today we're going to be installing a Magnaflow catback exhaust system on our 2022 EcoBoost Maverick. Now, an exhaust system like this, it's going to run you about $600 to $750. It is stainless steel. It's really high quality. Magnaflow are some of the best. A catback exhaust system may give you a slight improvement, 5 to 10% in horsepower. May also do the same for your gas mileage. So there are some other positives to it. The system's likely going to be lighter than the stock system, so you're going to have a little bit of weight savings as well. This is 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4. The tailpipe is going to come out on the tips are going to come out on the driver's side towards the back. It comes with 4 clamps. There's the 4 clamps, comes with some instructions. The instructions are black and white, so I would highly recommend going to the actual Magnaflow website and having a look so you know a little bit better visually. You can zoom in and stuff and see what you're doing. Packing on this stuff was fantastic. Tons of packing remaining. So we're going to get our vehicle up on some ramps, just some standard plastic 16,000 pound ramps. We're going to get the back up a little bit just to give us enough room to get underneath, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. To remove the stock exhaust system, we will have to make one cut up towards the catalytic converter, about 3 inches behind the weld is what it says. And we could use a Sawzall, but because we're not going to raise the truck up hugely for this job, we're actually going to use this tool. This is an exhaust pipe cutting tool from Harbor Freight, about 27 bucks, I think. Basically wrap it around and then it clamps down, and then you go back and forth, and these little wheels will cut into the pipe, and it makes a really nice cut so you don't have to worry about deburring or anything on the metal afterwards. So let's get the truck up and then we'll take a look underneath. All right, we're underneath the truck and you can see the exhaust system looking forward towards our catalytic converter, and we have our jack stand ready to support the front end of the system once we cut it, because there's nothing basically holding it from up there all the way back until you get back to here. There are mounts back here, the rubber mounts that they use for exhaust systems that are in the back here. And so we're gonna need to support the pipe on both sides. So we're gonna cut it 3 inches behind the catalytic converter weld, which is what it says in the instructions. And we've marked that off. We're gonna use our exhaust pipe cutting tool, make that cut, and then we're gonna go back here. There'll be 2 rubber mounts to undo here, and then another one in the back, and then we can start putting our new system on. So the next tool we're going to use are the exhaust removal pliers. Basically, these make it much easier to get those rubber mounts off, to get the exhaust disengaged from those, because it's hanging on those, and it basically pushes the part through the rubber pretty easily. So we'll take these out and get those off. Here's the old exhaust system. And you can see the hanger mounts, 1, 2, 3. And I think it's still in pretty good shape after 18 months. Definitely a little bit of wear there. Stuff dripping out of it. I guess there's a little hole in that for drainage. Not too bad. All right, so now for the install, there's 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're gonna go on in that order. At this end, this one has some little cutouts, and that's what's gonna be tightening down onto the area where I cut. So we'll slide this over there, and then we'll put a clamp on it. The clamp, you gotta put on before we slide it on. There's 4 clamps for the system. The first one that you're gonna install at the front is a 2.36 inch. The other ones are 2.50 inches, and it's hard to tell. This guy is our smaller one though. If you line up the bolt, you can see just barely, it's just a little smaller. So that will need to go on over here. We're gonna slide it on, have it on there kind of loosely. We don't want to tighten anything down yet, and then we'll go back and tighten everything once we get the full system on, because you need to be able to move it around a little bit. So let's give this a shot. So you can see where our new system attached, and there's a clamp up there that we're going to tighten up. And then there's this piece that comes down here. There's a clamp here, and then there's our resonator, and then it goes through straight back. So we got the hangers. There's a red one there and a blue one there. We got those all hooked up, but you'll notice this is hanging down really low. So this needs to rotate up into this position up in here to get away for the clearance. There it goes. So you can see the angle of it. I watched another guy who had done a YouTube video about this, and he mentioned the same thing. As you're putting this on loosely, this is going to want to swing down. So as you go through, you're going to have to tighten it up so it's up, and you don't want it too close to the drivetrain, but you'll actually see it kind of fits about there, I believe. There's really no visual close-up instructions from the manufacturer for this part. I wish there was an install video. So hopefully this is right. If it is, maybe they'll share this with other people for the install. All right, I think we've got it situated. We've got the space between the drive shaft, but the pipe is not hanging down. So if we go up at the angle of the vehicle here, you can't see the pipe, which means I think it's in the right place. It's over there by the heat shielding, and you know, it does hang down a slight bit in the back, but not terrible. And we've got all the pieces into the hangers. It's a lot easier putting this in than it is taking the old one off, because you're doing it in pieces and using the hangers to support the weight as you go. All right, starting at the back, we've got our hanger. We've got our back section here with our tips on it. There's a clamp. We've got our next section here. So there's a clamp here and hangers next to up there, the red and the blue. We've got section there with another clamp, and then our final clamp up at the front near the catalytic converter. So I think we're all set, guys. Gonna give this thing a shot. All right, I've got sound clips before and after adding this. In person, probably a little bit better sounding than it is on the camera. Highly suggest, if you really want to hear what it's like, put on headphones or something where you can really get the bass tones, because the Magnaflow exhaust system is a bit deeper. Now, before I show you the sound clips, I wanted to just touch on the fact that the sound is a byproduct of why you should be adding a catback exhaust system. It adds performance in the sense that it's a freer flowing system. So hopefully there should be some gains in horsepower, maybe a little bit in mile per gallon. Now it can vary from vehicle to vehicle depending on how much you're going to get from each vehicle after adding one. I'm just going to give you my opinion here on what I've seen. I've seen about a mile per gallon difference in the gas. My average before was about 27.5 to 27.8, and that's city and highway and a little bit of idling, a little traffic and everything. And I'm seeing about 28.5 average. Today I reset my trip meter, and it's a little bit higher right now. I've been doing a little bit more highway, but it's right in that 28 range now, pretty average. So a little bit of a gain there. Horsepower, way more difficult to quantify if you don't have a dyno, of course. Off of the line, it's not necessarily like faster, but it seems like it gets to speed just a little bit easier. And that's the best way I can explain it. But I've driven this truck for 30,000 miles. I added this. I could tell a little bit of a difference, just a little bit. So I'm guessing there is some sort of horsepower gain, probably between 2 to 5% or something. And the gain in the miles per gallon, same thing. So in that aspect, it does feel like the truck is getting a little bit more out of the engine, a little bit easier. And of course, there's the sound. If you want to hear a little bit cooler sound in your truck, the Magnaflow definitely adds a little bit without being obnoxious. So here we go, some sound clips for you. Go. You can hear the turbo, but mostly just the engine noise of the engine winding up. Windows shut. Driver's side window open. speeds anywhere between 1,500, 2,000 RPMs. And even at the freeway at 2,000 RPMs, you really don't notice the exhaust. There's no drone. You'll hear it when you step on the accelerator. It's kind of, you hear it when you want to hear it, really, is when you're on the accelerator and you want to hear a little bit more of that performance sound. But other than that, no, not annoying, not loud. If you're driving by someplace, people likely won't, you know, be turning their heads when you drive by because it's so loud and obnoxious. So that's pretty much the way you want it to be. You want it to be a performance sound, not an annoying sound. Final thoughts on the Magnaflow system, and this is kind of a follow-up video since I've had it on there now for over a month from when I shot a lot of the other clips. And no rattles, no leaks. I should mention I purchased this myself. This isn't a sponsored video. I bought it from hotexhaust.com and they had a discount code and it was a pretty good deal. The performance of the system, been really happy with it. I do feel like there were some gains when I added this. I drove the truck for 30,000 miles before I got it, and it was noticeable when I added it. It's not huge, not a huge difference, but I could tell it just felt a little bit peppier. And I did see it as well in the miles per gallon, maybe 1 mile per gallon gain on efficiency. So I feel like the system's a little more efficient now. Yeah, again, I don't have access to a dyno, so I could have gone and tried to do that before and after. Maybe there's 5 horsepower gain, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's, if you like to mod trucks, it's little gains here and there. And this system feels like it works, at least in my mind. Sound-wise, really happy I went with this. Every time I pull up at a light next to some guy in a little 4-cylinder, you know, Civic or Subaru or something, and they've got some crazy, rattly, loud, annoying exhaust system on there, I'm like, no, guys, that's not how you want to do it. That sounds stupid. This thing sounds just deep. It's just performance-oriented. It's not rattly loud. It's not trying to be something it's not. And that's the biggest thing I wanted. I didn't want something that I would notice it all the time. When I get on the gas a little bit, I notice it, but I didn't want something loud. But it isn't trying to be anything other than a 4-cylinder, and that's fine. So anyway, hopefully you guys got a little information. Maybe it's something you like. Maybe you like the other tones from some of the other manufacturers. I don't know. But I like the sound. I like the performance, and pretty happy with the system overall. So thanks for watching Maverick Truck Mods.